Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you how to transform your Tenda router into a wired access point. Tenda routers have many operation modes, so of course they can operate in router mode and also they can operate in wireless access point and in wired access point. So what is the benefit of setting up a Tenda router or any router in a wired access point as opposed to a wireless access point? The main benefit is that the connection to the main router will be very strong and it will not be prone to interference. And the clients can connect to the access point either via wireless connection or also via wired connection. So let me show you how to do this. The first step is to connect physically the Tenda router to the main router. So you get an Ethernet cable and you plug the Ethernet cable in the WAN port of the Tenda router. Usually it is this blue color port here. And after you plug this Ethernet cable in the WAN port of the Tenda router, you plug the other end of the Ethernet cable into any LAN port of the main router. So here I'm gonna choose any one, and this is it connected here. And by the way, even though I'm using a Tenda router here, the instructions I'm showing you apply to all routers that have an AP mode. So now the second step is to reset the Tenda router. Careful, this step will erase anything on the router. So if you have set up something on the router that you want to preserve, back up the router before resetting it. And now to reset the router, the first step is to make sure that the router was powered on for at least a minute. And the second step is to push the button of the reset of the router. Or if your router has a pinhole to reset it, like this one here, you need to insert something that will go into the pinhole for at least 5 seconds. So I'm gonna do this now. So now I inserted this here into the pinhole and I'm gonna push it in for 5 seconds until the LED light blinks here rapidly. So now it is blinking. You can release the reset button and just wait for the router to reset. It takes approximately a minute for it to reset. And when the reset finishes, the LED light on the router will light up green like this. Now the next step is to connect the router to a PC or a laptop using either an Ethernet cable or the default wireless connection of the router that you can find on the bottom of the router. For me, I'm gonna use a physical Ethernet cable. Let me remove first the main router. We don't need it anymore. And let me connect this router to my PC. So you connect one end of the Ethernet cable to any LAN port on the router here. And then the other end, you connect it, of course, to the LAN port of your PC or of your laptop. And here it is connected. I'm gonna switch now to screen recording to show you how to set up the router in AP mode. Now on the PC where you connected the router, open a web browser and then go to this website, tendawifi.com, and hit enter. And here, because it's an HTTP site, you need to click on continue to site so that you can go to the Tenda setup webpage. And here click on start now, and then keep everything by default and then click on next. And here you need to put a Wi-Fi name for your access point. So here I'm gonna name it KSTAP. And for the Wi-Fi password, I'm gonna put a very strong password. And the next option is to set the Wi-Fi password to router login password. It's not a good practice to keep them both the same password. So I'm gonna uncheck this. And then for the login password, I'm gonna put another password and confirm it. And then click on next. And the router will give you a summary of what you just set up. You need to scroll to the bottom of the page and then click on complete. And now you need to log in to the Tenda router. So use the password that you specified earlier. This is the login password and it's not the Wi-Fi password. And you see that the router by default goes into the router mode. So you need to click on more so that to put it into the access point mode. And then on the left here, you have the third one, working mode. Click on it and then scroll until you find AP mode and then click on switch mode. And it will give you a warning that many of the functionalities of the router will not be available after you switch it to AP mode. And this is normal because these functionalities will be managed by the main router. So click on OK here and you need to give it approximately 90 seconds for it to reboot. Now the router rebooted. We need to log back into it. So use the password to log into it. And now it is working into access point mode. Now I'm going to show you some of the post setup settings that you need to make so that to make the most of your access point. So go to Wi-Fi settings, and under Wi-Fi settings, we need to adjust the security. So under the 2.4 gigahertz band, you need to choose this drop-down list next to security and then choose WPA3, WPA2. So now if you have devices that have trouble connecting to the AP, it means that they do not support WPA3, WPA2. So revert back to WPA2 here. But here I'm going to keep it like this and do this also for the 5 gigahertz band. So let's click on this. And note here that for the 5 gigahertz band, the router appended _5G for the 5 gigahertz band. And now click on save. And now your Tenda router is set up and it is working in access point mode. And you can connect to the Wi-Fi networks that we just saw, KST-AP and KST-AP_5G. And also, of course, as I mentioned before, you can always connect any device to the LAN ports of the access point and it will work. If you got any value from my video, don't hesitate to comment on it, give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you all for watching. I'm Eloy from Knowledge Sharing Tech. See you in the next video.